Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith in the studios of our flagship stations, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition, today, as always, you can also find us on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 in the Birmingham, Bloomfield area, on Birmingham Area Municipal Access, and in Southfield on City Cable 15 of Southfield. Join us on Channel 10 in Waterford, on the Media Network of Waterford, and live to tape at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. in Lake Orion and Orion Township, where living is a vacation, on Orion Neighborhood Television. That is ONTV. Find us on the radio as well in Troy and Birmingham, in Bloomfield Hills and Bloomfield Township and surrounding areas on 88.1 The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District with 24/7 operations out of Bloomfield Hills High School over there on Andover Road. Find us also on the web on Facebook, facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15 and facebook.com/LakesFM. On our website, CivicCenterTV.com, by clicking on our Watch Live link. It's going to be in one or two places, either at the top of your homepage if you're viewing us on your computer web browser, and on some browsers on certain tablet devices, but on most mobile devices that will be in the left margin of the screen. It'll be a drop-down menu, second from the bottom. Watch Live, CivicCenterTV.com for all of that. And then you can also find us online on My Michigan TV, otherwise known as My. Visit MyMyTV.com to learn more information, to view all of our programming live and on demand, as well as our other original programming, such as Steve Leto Live, Larry and Maddie Live, which just launched this week and has had two great shows already to start that off. So they're starting up on that show. And then also find all their other imported programming from all across the state of Michigan, MyMyTV.com, where you can also learn about where you can download their free smartphone and smart TV apps and take My Michigan TV on the road with you. MyMyTV.com, or for all of our partnering stations information, visit our website, CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast, or click on our Megacast link, and there we have links to every single one of our partnering TV, radio, and web outlets that join us every day, live to tape, and on demand. And of course, you'll also find all of our full interviews and each episode on demand as well on that website. Then on our coronavirus page, we have articles from across the state of Michigan making headlines each and every day, as well as, of course, those very helpful tools at the top of that webpage that lead you to links for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 specific web pages, so that you can stay up to date on everything that you need to know on the COVID-19 front here in Michigan and across the U.S. as we continue to deal with different variants of COVID-19, with the spread of COVID-19 now starting to slow down a little bit after the major surge in cases and hospitalizations as a result of the Omicron variant. You want to keep up to date on all of that, as well as information on how you can get free at-home COVID-19 tests through the federal program, as well as masks through Oakland County. We talked to Charlie Cavell from District 18, their commissioner, yesterday about that program. 800,000 masks available for free through Oakland County. You can learn more information from the Health Division's COVID-19 webpage, as well as at the Oakland County webpage at oakgov.com as well, or just click on any of those links on our website, CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast, to learn more about mask distribution for free all across the state of Michigan and through federal programs from the Federal Strategic Stockpile as it's being distributed all across the United States. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, those very helpful articles as well from across the state of Michigan, keeping you up to date on everything that's making news here in the Great Lakes State every single day. And of course, our top headline today is good news, as the Ambassador Bridge traffic has reopened to U.S.-bound traffic, according to the owner of the bridge. This is from the Detroit News. The Ambassador Bridge reopened to U.S.-bound traffic after a protest by Canadian truck drivers had closed it since Monday. Windsor Police and the bridge's owner have said that, and of course the news comes after protests against COVID-19 mandates and restrictions in Canada began on Monday across the Canadian border, with the U.S. sparking traffic delays. The traffic blocking convoy was the first sign demonstrations could affect the United States. Quote, "Thanks to exceptional service from the Windsor Police Services and Freedom Convoy negotiations, inbound traffic from Windsor to Detroit is now fully open," a representative from the Ambassador Bridge said at 7:30 p.m. Continuing on, quote, "Traffic into Canada from Detroit is still closed and being rerouted to the Blue Water Bridge in Port Huron. The Detroit International Bridge Company hopes for a swift resolution that will allow traffic to flow unimpeded," end closed quote. The bridge to Canada in Detroit shut down on Monday night, the Michigan Department of Transportation tweeted at 8:50 p.m. Canada later also listed the bridge as quote-unquote temporarily closed. While the Canadian side reopened before 6 a.m., the U.S. side remained closed at midday yesterday. Traffic cameras had trucks backed up for miles at the Blue Water Bridge. The Canadian government said the delay for commercial traffic to cross between Sarnia and Port Huron, Sarnia on the Canadian side, of course Port Huron here in Michigan, was more than 3 hours at 9 p.m. last night. The backups at the Ambassador Bridge, touted as the nation's busiest international border crossing, sparked concern among transportation leaders about the impact amid COVID-led supply chain and staffing shortages on Michigan businesses relying on transported goods. Quote, any delay or disruption in the supply chain creates problems not just for agriculture, but the state economy as well, said Chuck Lipstrew, president of the Michigan Agribusiness Association, which represents businesses that support farmers, earlier in the shutdown. The Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association, which represents the Detroit Big Three automakers, called for an end to the protest, citing its effect on the country's economy. Quote, auto production relies on efficient supply chain logistics for delivery of parts, components, and vehicles, and closed quote, the association said in a statement on Tuesday. Continuing on in that statement, quote, persistent delays at the Ambassador Bridge risk disrupting automotive production and employs tens of thousands of Canadians. The bridge's owner echoed those claims, saying, quote, we encourage the appropriate officials to prompt action to alleviate the situation as quickly as possible in a manner that reflects mutual respect. That's from Matt Maroon, chairman of the Detroit International Bridge Company, in a statement made on Tuesday. The statement continued, quote, international commerce needs to resume. The Ambassador Bridge and the Maroon family sympathize with truck drivers and those caught up in this blockade, and closed quote. The protest follows rallies over opposition to vaccine mandates and other restrictions in cities across Canada in a show of solidarity, with a demonstration that began in Ottawa and has gone for more than a week by the so-called Freedom Truck Convoy. The protests paralyzed the Canadian capital's business district and led to the mayor to call for 2,000 extra police officers to quell the nightly demonstrations. Protesters have said they will not leave until all vaccine mandates and COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. They also called for the removal of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government, though it is responsible for few of the restrictive measures, most of which have been put in place by provincial governments. If only they looked that up. Man, didn't have to go all the way to Ottawa for that. Traveled a long way for what could have been a quick Google search. It's all right. Continuing on the article, Trudeau backed demonstrators' right to protest, he tweeted on Monday night, but not their right to disrupt daily activity, saying, quote, Canadians have the right to protest, to disagree with their government, and to make their voices heard, and closed quote. Continuing on, quote, we'll always protect the right, but let's be clear. We don't have the right to blockade our economy, our democracy, or our fellow citizens' daily lives. It has to stop, and closed quote. That full article from the Detroit News on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, giving more information on the shutdown of traffic across the Ambassador Bridge, and of course updates on when that traffic flow will be back to normal at the Ambassador Bridge and when those detours sending people off to the Blue Water Bridge in Port Huron may be complete. Also making headlines, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. A court hearing for the accused Oxford high school shooter's parents has centered on demons, voices, guns, and infidelity thus far. This is from our friends over at MLive. Testimony during the first day of the preliminary exam for the parents of the accused Oxford high school shooter delved into infidelity, possible mental illness, Jennifer Crumbly's love of horses, and her 15-year-old son's fascination with guns. The prosecution intends to prove parents James and Jennifer Crumbly knew or should have known that their son was disturbed, that he needed help, but they were too busy with their own lives, including work, horses, and extramarital affairs, to take the measures necessary to head off the shooting that resulted in the deaths of 4 Oxford high school students on November 30th of last year. Jennifer and James Crumbly are also charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter in connection to the school shooting. Oakland County Sheriff's Detective Edward Wagrowski reviewed photos, videos, call logs, and messages extracted from each of the Crumbly's phones in addition to analyzing social media posts, school surveillance videos, and 911 calls connected to the shooting in an investigation during a Tuesday, February 8th preliminary examination in court in Rochester Hills. Quote, now it's time to shoot up the school, and closed quote, Ethan Crumbly sent in a text to an unidentified person on August 20th, according to Wagrowski. Crumbly then sent JK, in quotes, multiple times, which detectives said is shorthand for just kidding. Love that part of the article. Gotta get up on the lingo. Continuing on, the messages were accompanied by a video of a hand holding a gun that was played in court. Quote, "My dad left it out, so I thought, well, why not?" Crumbly texted. While the detective didn't name the recipient of the text, he said it was a juvenile. Previous testimony indicated Jennifer Crumbly told a co-worker her son had only one friend. In other text conversations, the pair talked about, quote, "kidnapping and killing another classmate," in closed quote, where Growski testified. There's also video of killing and mutilating baby birds, in closed quote. Within minutes of hearing about the shooting at Oxford High School, the father, James Crumbly, who worked as a food delivery driver for DoorDash, drove home and shortly after called 911 saying, quote, "I'm at the house. There's an active shooter at the high school. My son is at the high school. I have a missing gun in my house." He continued, quote, "My son took the gun. I don't know what's going on," in closed quote. A couple of hours earlier, James and Jennifer Crumbly were called to the school to discuss with the shooter's counselor the disturbing words and drawings their son is believed to have scribbled on a workbook assignment, including a drawing of a gun and the phrase, quote, "help me," and closed quote, and other phrases such as, quote unquote, "my life is useless," and, quote unquote, "the thoughts won't stop." The parents did not remove their son from the school, however, but they were ordered to obtain professional psychiatric or psychological assistance for him within 48 hours. After Jennifer Crumbly received a voicemail from the school the day prior, alerting her that her son was caught looking up bullets on his phone in class, the mother searched for, quote, "clinical depression treatment options," and closed quote, on her phone, according to Growski. As early as March of last year, Ethan indicated he may have been experiencing paranoid thoughts, according to other text messages in the prosecution, as the prosecution revealed at the court hearing. In another situation, Ethan Crumbly had sent a text message to his mother stating that their house was, quote, "haunted," and referenced a, quote, "demon," Growski testified. A month later, the shooter texted in a message to an unidentified person that he intended to ask his parents to take him to a doctor, saying, quote, "I just don't want to tell them about the voices," and closed quote, Growski said, reading a text sent from the shooter's phone in court. The first four witnesses of the day included 3 employees who worked with Jennifer Crumbly in the offices of a real estate company and a friend who owns a horse boarding farm in Lapeer County, where Jennifer Crumbly took riding lessons. Amanda Holland, an administrative assistant at the real estate company, testified that Jennifer Crumbly began speaking with her occasionally about, quote-unquote, marital issues that began in 2021 and led to a temporary separation. Holland testified that Jennifer told her she was having an extramarital affair and meeting with the person during work hours. Defense attorneys for the Crumblys, Shannon Smith and Marielle Lehman, argued that the status of the Crumblys' marriage wasn't relevant to the hearing. Quote, "what they did and didn't do, what they spent their time doing, what they exposed their son to is absolutely material and probative," said Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald. The defense's objection was overruled by Oakland County's 52nd District 3rd Division Court Judge Julia A. Nicholson. Following the November 30th meeting with Ethan Crumbly's counselor and about the disturbing drawings in schoolwork, Jennifer Crumbly notified Kira Pennick, the 25-year-old owner of a 51-acre farm in Metamora, where the Crumblys boarded their horses, that she would be bringing her son to a scheduled riding lesson that same night. Soon after Jennifer Crumbly heard that there was an active shooter at her son's school, she became immediately, quote-unquote, frantic and left work, multiple coworkers testified. In the meantime, her husband, James, was returning to the family home to look for the gun that prosecutors said the couple gave to their son as an early Christmas gift. Quote, "The gun is gone, and so are the bullets," and closed quote. Jennifer Crumbly soon after told her boss, Andrew Smith, in a text message. Smith testified, quote, "OMG, Andy, he's going to kill himself. He must be the shooter. Ethan did it," and closed quote. The shooter is accused of using the weapon to kill 4 classmates and injuring 7 others, including a teacher at the high school. That full article with even more details from the opening testimony in the court case against the parents of the Oxford High School shooter from MLive, as well as another article about college enrollment issues here in the state of Michigan from Bridge on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We have a great show ahead of you today on this Wednesday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, the co-owner of Detroit City Distillery, Michael Forsyth, will join us on the show to talk about the Pączki Day Vodka by Detroit City Distillery, which will be returning Friday, February 11th. That will be a really interesting interview. You're going to want to hear about that, how you can get a hold of that specialty specialty liquor. And then 10:40, we'll be joined by Shandel Bronstein, the CEO of JARC, on the program. At 11 o'clock, we'll kick off the second hour with Sierra DeVoe, the executive director of Project Rise, a Share Detroit-supported charity and nonprofit. At 11:20, Jim Holcomb, the new president and CEO of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, will talk to us about how the continued pandemic is impacting businesses here in the state of Michigan, as well as his new position with the Chamber of Commerce, taking over for Rich Studley, their longtime president and CEO. And then we'll cap off the show at 11:40 with Nada Abbate, the owner of Nada & Company, who will join us on the show at the bottom of the hour, talk about her Home Decor Restyle Boutique located in Berkley. That's all coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes, they stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. You can learn more about our show by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where we have links to every single one of our partnering stations, as well as links where you can find all of our shows and each individual interview on demand. civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us once again is Michael Forsythe, the co-owner of Detroit City Distillery, as they have a very special drink coming up. Their Pączki Day Vodka by Detroit City Distillery returns Friday, February 11th for purchase. And Michael Forsythe, their co-owner, joins us now on the Megacast. Michael, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Appreciate having you on. So let's start off with the basic details of the Pączki Day Vodka. It's going to be available on Friday, February 11th. How will it be available? When will it be available? Because I know that, like many of your other specialty drinks, specialty alcohol, this goes very quickly when it is released.
It does. So this is the grand prize here, Pączki Day Vodka. So it goes on sale this Friday, February 11th at 8 a.m. online at DetroitCityDistillery.com. So 7:55 comes around, start hitting that refresh button, and so it goes wild. Last year we had to sell it online because of the pandemic. It ended up selling out in 22 minutes. So we made about 3 times as much this year. We're working around the clock doing it right now. So it's always a wild thing. I think it combines two things that Michigan's Polish community are very passionate about: vodka and pączki. It's the only ingredients. And so when you combine those two things, you get this, and everyone's Polish come Pączki Day. So folks go wild over it, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
And it's interesting, Michael, because of course it sells very quickly, much like your other specialty drinks. Your Honey Bourbon usually sells very quickly, but that seems a little bit more plausible to think about how that would be made, because honey, you put honey in a lot of different things, and you can mix it into people mix it into tea, people mix it into different foods there, and then they're able to tangibly taste the honey in there. But a pączki, that's a physical object that you're consuming. It's a physical food item. How do you get that taste infused into this vodka?
Okay, so it's actually a relatively simple process.
Really?
So behind me, we have these beautiful raspberry pączki from the legendary New Palace Bakery in Hamtramck. Okay, so literally for like the past 3-4 weeks, I've lost track at this point, I go to Hamtramck every day, and I get 18 dozen of these. Okay. And so at the end of the day, we rip them up and we toss them in our 500-gallon copper pot still, which has about 500 gallons of potato vodka in there. And so these pączki, they soak in this vodka overnight. And when you come in the morning, it's like this beautiful rosé red color. And then you fire up the still. And what happens when you distill something is it basically boils the contents, and then alcohol vapor comes off. So the alcohol vapor is extracting the flavor of the pączki, and then it gets condensed, that gas, back to liquid, and it turns out crystal clear, and it tastes like a pączki. Now, it's not your traditional flavored vodka, right? Everyone thinks that it's going to taste exactly like a pączki, which would be amazing because these taste amazing, but we are making vodka. So it's not some your engineered raspberry flavor in some flavor house, where you're getting some super sweet, artificially flavored vodka. It's the real deal. So we have distilled 3,456 pączki so far for this year's batch. Literally distilling pączki, and it's not just a drink, it's kind of an experience. So we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, truly one of a kind drink, and especially for that occasion here in the Metro Detroit area, especially as you're close to a place like Hamtramck, which has such a great volume of Polish population. It really is a truly unique item to pick up. And of course, we're joined by Michael Forsythe, co-owner of Detroit City Distillery. Their specialty Pączki vodka, Pączki Day Vodka by Detroit Distillery, returns Friday, February 11th. That's this week, Friday, February 11th, for purchase. And as you said, over 3,000 pączki already, just in preparation to make this vodka and get it ready for release this Friday when it goes on sale. So 3,000 Pączki, that's a lot of Pączki. You said 18 dozen you're picking up every day. And in total, all of that so far, those 3,000 Pączki, how many different bottles of that vodka has that led to? Because that's a lot of Pączki. I would think that's a lot of bottles.
Lot of Pączki. So honestly, this is kind of a good story. So I don't know the answer to your question right now, to be perfectly honest. The goal is we're trying to make somewhere between 2 to 3 times as much this year. We'll sell it online at our place. That's Friday, February 11th at 8 a.m. And then starting the week of the 14th, it hits liquor store shelves. But here is our challenge. This, you have all these ingredients at play. You have the Pączki, right? So made by New Palace Bakery, this, mom and pop bakery shop, been around for decades, I think over 100 years actually. We're a small distillery. We got, bourbon and other stuff to make too, right? So, we can't make it year round. But, people don't often think the other ingredients, like the bottle. This got stuck in the port of New Jersey. So this was actually Plan B, this bottle. It was an amazing Plan B. This bottle actually came from Poland. But this got stuck on a tanker in the port of New Jersey and literally arrived like the day we had to start bottling. There was no going back. So it was, you hear all about the supply chain. You never really think about how it affects you, but like this almost didn't happen this year. So we are literally like around the clock, overtime, working to make this. So the goal is always just to make as much as we can. We never seem to, be able to meet demand. So we'll see this year if we do. But it's a wild thing. People have so much fun with it. It's like buying concert tickets or something nowadays. So the goal is to make as much as you want and make as many people happy as you want. And so we're trying our best. We'll see. We'll give you a count, maybe next week.
We're joined by Michael Forsyth, co-owner of Detroit City Distillery. Their specialty Pączki Day vodka goes on sale this Friday, February 11th at 8 a.m. on their website, DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop. And it goes quickly. So, of course, the sales open up at 8 a.m. In the past with specialty drinks such as your Pączki Day vodka, I've mentioned a few times before your Honey Bourbon that you make in partnership with that you make in partnership with Bees in the D. That always goes quickly too. Just how quickly do these drinks typically go so that people have a reference when they do log on to your website, DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop at 8 a.m. on Friday?
Yeah, so our only frame of reference is last year for Pączki vodka. It sold out in 22 minutes, which was just mind-blowing. So, we made, we're aiming to make 3 times as much because at the time it sold out. There were about 3 times as many people trying to buy it as those who just did. So that was our frame of reference. So if you want it, wake up early, schedule a meeting at 8 a.m., tell your boss you're coming in late, personal things to do. So yeah, that's my suggestion. And then, there's other things too that we sell besides the Pączki vodka, and we always try to up the ante every year. So last year we had some bottled cocktails. We did a Polish Bloody Mary where we teamed up with our friend Rodney over at Schrodix. So we distilled Schrodix horseradish in Polish vodka. And I don't know if you're a big horseradish fan, I certainly am. It is so good, hot, fire. And it makes like the best Bloody Mary. So we had like bottled Bloody Marys ready to go. We did a really good bottled ready-to-drink cocktail called the Polish Daisy. And then this year is our special treat. This is Pączki Head Seltzer made with Pączki Day vodka. This, does have some, raspberry and, other necessary ingredients. You're not putting a Pączki in seltzer. That would not taste good. So this is a special treat, special surprise for this year. So this one will definitely go quick.
And so if people are unable to be one of those first to get into the line, get through the shop at DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop on Friday morning, February 11th, 8 a.m. when the special Pączki Day vodka goes on sale on your website, they're not necessarily missing out from their chance to experience the vodkas. You are going to be having a special occasion later on in the month that will feature limited amounts, but still some amounts of your Pączki Day vodka. Is that correct?
Yes. So every year, it's changed from year to year given the pandemic, but we do a big Pączki party. So February 26th, Saturday, this year's Saturday before Pączki Day, which is March 1st. But Saturday, February 26th, we're having a big old block party. So we'll have the whole street shut down. Schrodix will be out serving kielbasa, pierogi. We have Pietrek pierogi, who is our friend in Eastern Market, the pierogi queen, Erica, who makes amazing pierogi. So they'll be doing food. We'll have some local Handtramican music legends playing, and there will be a lot of Pączki vodka flowing. And we'll probably be drinking a lot of this too. This is kind of the seltzer was kind of meant to be the wingman to the Pączki vodka, because you can't be, drinking shots all Pączki Day and, enjoy the whole day. You need something to kind of balance yourself out. So this is Pączki Head's kind of the key to kind of maintaining that Pączki party lifestyle, as we say over at the distillery. So should be a lot of fun. Our neighbors, Eastern Market Brewing Co., are going to have their block shut down too. They got a Pączki beer that they made. So it'll be a good time in the market for sure on Saturday the 26th.
And that is 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Down there at Detroit City Distillery. Their Pączki Day party, Saturday, February 26th. Again, 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. And that is going to be in Eastern Market at the Detroit City Distillery tasting room. As Michael said, full block will be shut down. Big block party that weekend, celebrating Pączki Day just before, of course, March 1st, which is Pączki Day this year. And you can learn more information about the Pączki Day party by visiting Detroit City Distillery on all of their social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Detroit City Distillery, and on the website, DetroitCityDistillery.com. And so Michael, we're joined by Michael Forsyth, the co-owner of Detroit City Distillery. At this time, any other special projects coming up, special products that you're working on right now that people should be aware of or keep an eye out for in the future that may be released in a similar fashion to your Pączki Day vodka, or other products that may be coming out or that you have available at this time that people may be interested in?
Yeah, so Pączki Day vodka is all consuming this time of year. A lot of people forget we make really good whiskey. That's usually what we do every day. So one thing that we have right now that's really cool, we launched in December last year. It closes on Valentine's Day, is our Detroit City Whiskey Club. So we launched a club, which basically is limited to 200 members. We're pretty close to filling that up. Last day to sign up is the 14th. That gives you access to 4 bottles a year from our oldest, rarest single barrels, right? So a lot of experimental stuff, a lot of bonded bourbon, a lot of bonded rye, all the stuff that we don't have enough to sell to the general public. This is kind of a way to get to some of our biggest fans. So that's going to be really fun. Like custom swag, parties at the Whiskey Factory, kind of just wanted to expand the circle and kind of bring in the extended fam into the mix officially. Because, the one really cool thing about us, and we're extremely grateful and lucky for this, is, people have really, they feel connected and they feel some ownership in our distillery. So, whether you are, first or second generation Polish, living in Hamtramck, and you love the fact that we do this, or you've been coming to this bar since day one, drinking young bourbon, and watched us grow over the years. People have been so kind to us and felt ownership over the business. And, the Whiskey Club is one way to kind of welcome everybody in and get them a kind of behind the scenes, deeper level of engagement. So that's a fun thing coming up. And then after that, you'll have to wait till see what we roll out in fall. So can't give away all the surprises yet, but we always got something every year.
As we say in the TV business, stay tuned. You can stay tuned to that at their website, DetroitCityDistillery.com, where this Friday, 2 days from today, 8 a.m. is when they will release their special Pączki Day vodka on the website. As Michael said, last year it sold out 22 minutes. So get there quickly, hit reload, get through the process quickly. Do that this Friday, February 11th, 8 a.m. DetroitCity.com, DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop, DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop, and more information, of course, on their Pączki Day party. That'll be on Saturday, February 26th. That information on all of their social media at Detroit City Distillery. Michael, anything else for us today?
No, have fun with it. Thanks so much for having us on. Always a big honor to be able to do this every year and give you a little taste of the Pączki Day party from Hamtramck in a bottle. So have fun with it. Hope you all get it. If you don't, there's always next year, and then there's always, party stores around the state. So there will be some hitting the shelves the week of February 14th as well. But if you want to get it for sure, February 11th, 8 a.m., DetroitCityDistillery.com is the best place to do it.
Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Michael Forsyth, co-owner of Detroit City Distillery, with us on the website. Once again, that specialty vodka, their Pączki Day vodka, will be available this week, Friday, February 11th, 8 a.m. on their website, DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop. DetroitCityDistillery.com/shop. More information on that, all their other products, and their upcoming events, including their big Pączki Day party, that black party on Saturday, February 26th, on all their social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Detroit City Distillery. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll stick right here in Oakland County, and we'll talk about a very important issue, and that is providing basic services, and really even services beyond just the absolute basics, to those with disabilities that may have trouble obtaining those services or living a normal life like you and I may live because of their disabilities, either physical or mental or cognitive disabilities. We'll speak with the CEO of JERC, Shandel Bronstein, about the work that organization is doing to serve people with disabilities in our community. Coming up next, you're watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Joining us now is Shandel Bronstein. She is the CEO of JERC. Back with us once again on the Megacast. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that haven't seen you on with us before or haven't heard of your organization, tell us about JERC, kind of its origin story and its mission and some of the services that it provides to people here in our community.
Okay, JERC is actually finishing out its 52nd year of service in Metro Detroit, and we are a provider of residential services to adults with developmental disabilities and cognitive impairments. Our goal is to make sure that regardless of somebody's abilities, they're able to live their fullest life.
And so, how did you come to work for JERC, and what do you, from your experience as the CEO of this organization, believe is the greatest impact this organization makes on the lives of those that have these developmental disabilities and are needing to navigate what can often be a very difficult situation, trying to navigate living a regular life like you and I may live, albeit while also tackling an ongoing battle with the developmental disability that they have?
Right. So my background actually for the last 16 years has been in human service, and I was very focused in my career trajectory and ensuring that the work that I was doing was assisting persons who could otherwise become marginalized. And when the opportunity came up at JERC, that obviously completely fit the bill. And I would say really the area that we make the most difference, beyond, of course, basic needs and making sure that people have adequate housing and food and clothing and all the other things that we need, again, just to survive, is that we allow our people to really become their true selves. If somebody wants to explore an interest in music, we make that possible. We really look at every person through the lens of being the individuals that they are, and we don't see them, right, through the lens of their disability. We see them through the lens of their interests, of their passion, of their desires to be part of community and to make a difference. So I think that's really, again, where we make our mark.
We're joined by Shandel Bronstein, the CEO of Jerk, joining us on the Megacast. And so you mentioned that the services that are being provided are helping to aid these individuals with developmental disabilities or impairments that may make everyday life and everyday things that we do or need to do in order to maintain our life much more difficult because of their situation. What are some of those services that are provided to help bridge those gaps by your organization? And how many people at this time are you serving?
Right, so we're serving about 135 individuals right now, and our settings range from small residences of 2 people up to 6-bedroom licensed adult foster care homes. And one of the things that we're doing, and we actually just received some funding from it, from the Donald Master Simon Foundation, which we learned during the time of COVID, when obviously so many things were shut down, for our people too, in order to keep them safe. They were really housebound, going on right close to 2 years now, that so many activities are simply not available because of safety issues. Obviously, a number of our people have underlying health conditions that, make it very scary for them, again, to have COVID. And even with vaccinations, with recent surges, we've sort of had this push-pull. So one of the things that we noticed was that we really needed to find individualized activities that would allow people to pursue their interests, even if they weren't able to get out of the house, right, and go to supported employment, attend workshops, attend social programs that we normally would be out in the community attending. We really needed to figure out a way to bring that into our homes, certainly for the short term, and we're really looking at it and saying it's a wonderful long-term enhancement. So we now employ a recreation therapist who is working sometimes, again, one-on-one with one of our persons who may, again, be suffering, potentially from depression around isolation or anxiety around the pandemic and all those fears that we're all experiencing. And music, right, may be respite for them, or art, again, or card games, or organizing collections, really identifying what are the activities that this person is interested in and what can we do to help them build their skills and to, again, help keep spirits up and develop talents and experience joy. And we're doing that both in one-on-one settings, again, as well as within groups, within our homes, people who are living together.
And so we're joined by Shandel Bronstein, the CEO of Jerk, on the Megacast. And just earlier this month, now it's February, so late last month, Jerk received a $25,000 grant from the Donald R. and Esther Simon Foundation to support new therapeutic programs, particularly aimed at combating some of that isolation and depression that you talked about. That's commonplace with a lot of people with or without developmental disabilities, but can be especially important for maintaining some of that progress that these programs have provided over the long term and over the short term for these individuals that you serve as well. Can you tell us about the therapeutic program that this funding has been able to provide greater access to, and how difficult it would be without this kind of funding from these generous donors to be able to provide these programs to these individuals and continue that progress despite the challenges of this ongoing pandemic?
Absolutely. So, and you touched on it, right? This pandemic has been challenging for all of us, and we're all experiencing, right, this loneliness that, again, just seems to be going on and on and on. And many of us are able, right, to get on Zoom, right, to get on FaceTime, to use technology to engage with others. You can imagine if you were a person who, potentially does not communicate verbally, you have other forms of communication, and you're not comfortable with technology, what that isolation could do to you and really be compounded. So again, our program is allowing us to marry some of the online activities that we've undertaken, really, again, going on 2 years, with that personal one-on-one for people who need the human interaction, and the activities are very much person-centered. So again, if this is somebody who really needs to make sure that they're maintaining, again, their stability of balance, it may be playing a dancing game. If this is someone, again, who needs to make sure, right, that they're continuing, to use their hands for small movements, we might use musical instruments, right? We may use art. So it can really be anything, again, that is going to help that person to keep their skills sharp and also really allow them that human touch. We have a young man who we serve, and something that we discovered through this process, and this is someone who's been with us for a few years, and again was attending a workshop during the day. And this young man had a vocabulary that we thought was about 50 words. And something that was discovered through this process, again, of our recreation therapist working with him around his interest, he started to name animals. And she discovered that he wanted to tell her about his day at the zoo. And through this process, again, of interacting around this with some of the flashcards, again, and animal names, we discovered actually that his vocabulary, was 250 words and growing. We hadn't yet figured out the right way to hear him, right, to truly understand what he was trying to tell us. So you can imagine, again, beyond just the maintenance, it's really gratifying to see some of these leaps that our people are making, even though we're in less than ideal conditions right now.
We're joined by Shindle Bronstein, the CEO of JARC, joining us on the Megacast. You can learn more information about the organization by visiting jarc.org. That is JARC or JARC.org to learn more information. And so, these programs, just that one success story, really shows how much these programs, these specific programs, these therapeutic programs, just how much of a benefit they can have in the lives of those that do have developmental disabilities or impairments. And so, Going back to just the general services that are provided by JARC, the primary funding source for long-term support for people with disabilities tends to be Medicaid, and that generally can cover about 80% of the basic necessities of their life, or 80% of total money that's needed for them to really live as normal of a life as possible. And that other 20% can be really difficult for them to obtain for a number of different reasons outside of the fact that they're dealing with developmental disability or disorder. And so how does your organization, on top of these kinds of programs that are very specialized and are often specially funded, like they have been from this $25,000 grant, how do you help to bridge that gap with them? And just how important is community funding to providing the opportunities for you to bridge those gaps with as many people as possible?
Right. So community funding is huge. You said it. We tell people all the time, nobody wants to live an 80% life. And again, we're incredibly grateful and fortunate to be the beneficiaries, right, of the funding that comes through the Medicaid line. And that provides critical services to our folks. But the extra things, right, birthday parties and get-togethers and barbecues, or again, the activities that we just talked about that really provide quality of life, those come from our philanthropic efforts. And again, there are foundations within the community that we reach out to that support us, many individuals who make contributions. We do host a large event each year, again, and 100% of the proceeds go, to fund these sorts of things. So we really look at it and say, the community are our partners in making this happen. The beautiful thing being that we really have an opportunity to take, again, that funding we're receiving for basic needs and leverage it against, philanthropic dollars and really create something spectacular. You know, we have people that we've served for their entire adult lives who have had, you know, opportunities, again, to engage in music and go on vacation and take art classes and have friends and have parties and all of those wonderful memories that we all want. And that has really been because of the generosity of our community and making that happen.
We're joined by Shandel Bronstein, the CEO of JARC, joining us on the Megacast. More information about the organization as well as how you can help them by volunteering or by donating, should you be able to do either or both, is at their website, jarc.org, JARC.org, jarc.org. And so on the topic of fundraising, during the fall you raised about $1.3 million from your fall fundraisers. Give us some insight on just how far that kind of money goes, because $1.3 million is a lot of money. It is a large sum of money, but for the care that you're providing, for the services that you're providing, and on top of that, the number of people that you're providing those services to, I would imagine that as much money as $1.3 million is, it can only go so far to helping so many people. Just how far does that kind of funding go, and how does that inform the necessity and the efforts that are put into fundraising all throughout the year?
Right. So again, it's a tremendous amount of money. And when you look at it, though, right across that number of people, you know, that funding makes sure, critically important, that all of our homes have a designated van that makes sure that people can not only get to their medical appointments, which would be essential, but people can get to their leisure choices, to be places where they want to be, that all, again, of those vans are equipped with appropriate wheelchair slots and lifts, again, making sure that regardless of your ability or disability, you're able to come and go as you want. So again, it's hugely important. And, you know, ultimately, we probably spend closer to $3 million a year, again, in philanthropy, to make sure that every single person we serve in every setting, in every home, has everything that they need, from holiday celebrations, again, to birthday parties, to transportation, to leisure activities, and making sure that they have staff support available, not just for their safety needs, but to be able to engage in the activities of their choice.
Yeah, and if you think about the numbers, I mean, I just ran a very quick calculation. You said you have about 100 clients, a little over 100 clients that you're serving at any given time at this point in time. And so $1.3 million, you divide that by 100 clients, it's $130,000 divided by 12 months of the year. That's roughly $11,000 per month for each of these individuals for these programs. That includes all these additional programs, as you said, the transportation, the staffing, on top of fulfilling that extra 20% that Medicaid funding may not be able to cover. So if you really break it down, it really goes to show that yes, your organization is during these fall fundraisers pulled in a lot of money, but at the same time, that is only going so far. And if you think about the programs that are going into what you provide in your services to your clients, that just shows how critical funding is for organizations like yours and for other organizations as well that may also be bringing in similar funding in any given season, but it's going toward these significant programs. We're joined by Shandel Bronstein, CEO of JARC, joining us on the Megacast. For those that are interested in serving with the organization, of course, donating would be a significant help to the organization, but there are volunteer opportunities as well. Can you speak to some of those volunteer opportunities that may be available at this time, or if they aren't as available at this time due to COVID in the future?
We always have volunteers, again, and always opportunities available. We say all the time, there is room at our table for everyone. That is our mission. And volunteer opportunities can range from assisting us with administrative tasks, which always have to happen, to, again, potentially hosting an online or outdoor activity for a person served, for delivering supplies, for assisting us with food deliveries, again, grocery shopping, things like that. So if you can dream it, we can make it happen for you. And again, we always underscore, because that speaks to the work that we do, that everyone and everybody's special skills are welcome at our table and will help us to, again, just make our community that much better.
Well, Shandel, just a couple of minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to know at this time about your organization, or things that we should be keeping an eye out for from JARC in the near future?
So again, I always say, the most important thing that people can remember is to understand, right, that just because somebody has a developmental disability does not mean that they are a less than. I think that we often assume, right, that somebody who may be differently able doesn't necessarily have, the same dreams and hopes and goals, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Just the way that they need to approach accomplishing those dreams and goals just takes a little more effort. And I think it's just incredibly important that we all look out and remember that each one of us is different, but each one of us, again, regardless of our abilities, is unique and wonderful and special. And just taking a minute, right, to look to the outside world and to see everyone as the unique human that they are.
Shandel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
If you're struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's a second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Joining us now is Sierra DeVoe, the Executive Director of Project Rise on the Megacast. It is one of 269 charities and nonprofits supported by Share Detroit. You can learn more information at sharedetroit.org. Sierra, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first, tell us a little bit about your organization, about Project Rise, its mission, and how it helps people here in southeastern Michigan.
Yeah, so Project Rise was created as a financial education resources for individuals looking to find financial independence and stability. As a 501c3 nonprofit, we are committed to providing affordable services to the working class that leads to long-lasting financial success. So that is how we help individuals throughout southeastern Michigan by really providing that financial education and accessible tools to really steer them towards financial stability.
And so what are some of those services and those tools that your organization provides to help them reach those goals or to achieve that financial literacy that is so critical to everyone, but especially those that are either unemployed or underemployed?
Yeah, so we have our personal finance tips blog, where we write on various topics about personal finance, from living paycheck to paycheck, how to budget, how to invest with limited cash, and so forth. We also have 2 financial coaching memberships. One is totally free, and the other one is $37 a month. And then we also have our financial webinars that we hold quarterly at the moment. We're trying to switch to monthly. And then we also have our social media challenges that we have monthly, along with our savings challenges.
We're joined by Sierra DeVoe, the founder and executive director of Project Rise, joining us on the Megacast. And so this organization, founded in 2018, of course, there's a great purpose behind it, and it does great work to help people achieve that financial literacy, and especially if they are living paycheck to paycheck, if they're in the working class and are struggling to make ends meet. These kinds of resources can be critical to them, just being able to maintain their life, let alone be able to build their finances to be able to get out of that situation and into a better situation for themselves down the road. And so for you, as the founder of the organization, give us a little bit of background about how you came to find this organization and build this and build this collection of resources to help working class people deal with some of these financial hardships that are unfortunately a part of our society.
Absolutely. So Project Rise was springboarded from my own personal story. I found myself financially struggling despite me taking the path that was supposed to guarantee improvement in my wealth and economic status. I went to college. I got the degree, and I got the 9-to-5 that was supposed to promise me to allow me to participate in the American dream. But unfortunately, that just was not my narrative. I was a social worker at a local nonprofit, and I was facing the same challenges that my clients were facing. I was facing not being able to make ends meet. I was facing not being able to, always buy food, all the same challenges that, were being presented to me as a social worker. But I found myself not being able to use the same resources that I was giving out because my income exceeded the income requirement level. So I was, just voicing my frustrations to my coworkers because, your coworkers become your therapists. And they started laughing, not at me, but just at, I guess, me finally realizing that this was everybody's narrative. Like, this is how it was. This was the normal, People are struggling, and sometimes those people don't have a safety net, especially when it comes to, being able to get government assistance and different resources from different nonprofits. So from there, that's when Project Rise was birthed as a thought. I was just like, well, I'm going to be a resource for the working class. I'm going to be that resource for people who can't go to any other resource because their income makes them exceed the federal poverty level. So I didn't know what that would look like. I haven't even thought out a plan, but I just knew that I wanted to be a resource. So as I was dealing with my own financial issues, I started learning more, becoming more financially literate, reading books, watching all types of videos, anything that would expose me to becoming financially conscious. So as I was doing that, I also was documenting my journey. And at the time, Project Rise was just a blog. So I was just writing down everything I was doing and how I was doing it. And it ended up helping people. I had someone tell me they were able to save up a security deposit for their first apartment. I helped my mom fund her emergency fund. So I was just like, wow, I'm really helping people with this. And then God kind of just showed me, like, this is what I want Project Rise to be a resource, a true resource that not only initiate change, but also sustain it. And I knew that I also didn't want to be the traditional nonprofit that had that transactional framework, like you get something and then you leave, but then you come back the next day. We did not want to be a revolving door. We really wanted to sustain change. So one way to do that is really to teach people about their finances and really get them engaged, how to use their money as a tool, because that will improve their life and give them back their self-autonomy to influence their own personal outcomes. So that is how Project Rise came about. It was my personal story that really springboarded it, and I'm truly thankful for the trials and tribulations that I faced because such an amazing nonprofit was birthed.
We're joined by Sierra DeVoe, the founder and executive director of Project Rise. You can learn more information as well as access their resources, their personal finance tips, blog, and more by going to projectrise.net. That's also where you can learn more information on membership and supporting their cause as well. Projectrise.net. That's projectrise.net. And so one thing that I really love about your website, about these resources, is that not only are you providing those resources for financial literacy so that you can start to get those that are in low-income situations, that are living paycheck to paycheck, that are financially struggling, can begin to gain the knowledge that they need to attempt at least to get a grip on their finances and figure out a path forward. But on top of that, you have additional resources and kind of a step-by-step plan from building your financial literacy to then improving your financial situation and then continuing to improve your financial situation while also helping other people. And that step-by-step nature, I think, is really impressive. So as people start to emerge from the more difficult situation they may be in, living paycheck to paycheck, with help from these tips and from taking action on what they learn, what additional resources then are provided down the line as you have built your finances and kind of got out of that difficult situation to then continue to learn and be able to really build on those principles, but also help other people along the way, provided through your organization?
Yeah, so once they get themselves, they get a better handle on their finances, we ask them, what are your financial goals now? So each step, they have a set of financial goals, and we work at each goal that they have. So whether that's buying a house or investing more into their brokerage accounts or into their retirement accounts, whatever goals that they have, that's what we work on each step, because as you progress, of course, your goals are going to change. And we never try to, just keep anybody. If we know they would have better success at like maybe another agency, we'd be like, oh, try this agency out because they really focus on wealth management, or they really focus on what you're trying to do. So we're really just there to get them started and to push them, and then when they're ready to fly their wings, we give them the resources that's needed if they want to steer towards starting their own business, wealth management, and all other various endeavors that they choose.
We're joined by Sierra DeVoe, the founder and executive director of Project Rise, a Sheriff Detroit-supported charity and nonprofit. Joining us on the Megacast, you can learn more information, find all those resources from Project Rise at their website, projectrise.net. That is projectrise.net. And so, Sierra, is there also a physical location for your organization? Are people able to have in-person consultation with those that are involved with the organization, or is all the resources online?
So all the resources at the moment is online, but we are working to establish a business location because we would love that interpersonal relationship. And of course, we're open to, meeting at, your local Starbucks or your local small business. We're open to that. But right now at the moment, Project Rise is virtual with the hopes of becoming in physical location soon.
And so, Sierra, obviously donations are critical to any nonprofit, to any charity that is looking to continue to do their work going forward. But on top of financial support that can be provided to your organization, what are some other ways that people can help Project Rise do the great things that it does to help people figure out a way to get themselves out of a situation of financial hardship that often is not to any wrongdoing of their own?
Yeah, so one way, it's many free ways for people to support us in our efforts. You can word of mouth, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, shout it from the rooftops. Anything to get that conversation going. You also can follow us on all our social media platforms. You can also wear our merchandise, which is actually hosted through Closed Talk, another nonprofit. Just word of mouth, just whatever gets the conversation started. That's how people can support us. And then always volunteer if you have expertise in grant writing or hosting a financial literacy webinar, whatever it is, we can certainly use it. And it's all, free, and it's easy to do. So that can definitely support us in our efforts.
We're joined by Sierra DeVoe, the executive director and the founder of Project Rise. You can learn more information by visiting their website at projectrise.net or by visiting sharedetroit.org, clicking on the Find a Nonprofit on their homepage, and then searching for Project Rise. There you'll be able to find, of course, information about their website, how you can get in contact with them, how you can call them, as well as other helpful details such as their wish lists for some helpful items and volunteer opportunities as well. Sierra, just another minute or so with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to know or to keep in mind about Project Rise?
Honestly, no. Everything I think was truly captured in what Project Rise is. I think if anyone just want to reach out, please do not be hesitant. If you just think, oh, I'm just too much in a mess, or oh, no, my finances will never get right. Still just reach out. We're non-judgmental. We definitely start where you are. Please do not feel ashamed or feel, as if we will judge you, because we won't. Just come on down and we'll get started.
Well, Sarah, we thank you very much for joining us and providing some more information on this great resource that's available for people that may be in a situation of financial hardship, living paycheck to paycheck, whatever their situation may be. This information can be critical to them building their future and, as you said, achieving that American dream that was promised to them under certain circumstances, but is often not achieved under those circumstances despite that promise. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
A rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Joining us now is the president and CEO of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Jim Holcomb, who just took over as president and CEO after succeeding former president and CEO Rich Studley. Jim, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first, give us a little bit of a background on you. Tell us about some of your accomplishments in the past in your career, and what led you to the Michigan Chamber of Commerce.
Sure. I've been in Lansing since approximately 1991. I came here as a law student and a legislative staffer. I've worked in the House. I've worked in the Senate. I've been a chief of staff for a Speaker of the House. I've been a legal counsel. I did practice law for 4 years with a mid-major firm here in Michigan, and now I've been at the Michigan Chamber for 14 years, committed to doing everything I can to help businesses in Michigan succeed. This is a real home for me. It's where my passion is, and I'm glad to be here. And Rich Studley did a tremendous job for us for 40 years here at the Chamber, and I'm excited to see where we take the Chamber into the future.
Yeah, Rich did great work with the Michigan Chamber business community here in our state. Certainly appreciated his service over several decades at the helm at the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. So now you're coming in a transition period, of course, for a transition of leadership, but also as we continue to transition from the thick of the COVID-19 pandemic into what hopefully is nearing the end of the pandemic and the post-pandemic stage, and that's an interesting place to come in as a new leader. So right now, where does Michigan's business community stand as it regards to recovery from the bulk of the COVID-19 pandemic and those challenges that they faced, and also in building a prosperous future for businesses current and oncoming in the near future?
Yeah, certainly many of our businesses across the state and Michigan Chamber members are a little battered. It's been a rough couple of years, but more importantly, they're optimistic. As you can imagine, we're constantly in conversation with our members, and we've recently surveyed them. 80% are saying that COVID is still having a negative impact on their business operations. But even with that, they see the ability of what can be. They see that they've come through the worst of it, hopefully, and hopefully we get COVID behind us from a health standpoint. But they're feeling optimistic about the state because they've learned how to be entrepreneurial. They've learned how to adapt. They've learned how to coordinate with each other. And I think one of the best things we saw is, regardless if you're a Michigan Chamber member or not, you were getting help from us during COVID. And many other organizations did the same. And it was wonderful to see Michiganders helping each other and all just trying to make sure that we had the best information, the best resources, and the ability to move our communities forward. Because that's what's going to help the state. Individually, we have to strengthen our communities, and the state overall will do very well.
And so one of the key challenges that has arisen over the course of the pandemic, particularly as businesses have reopened after the shutdowns, after all the restrictions were ultimately lifted late last year or in the middle portions of last year in 2021, has been a continued issue with staffing shortages. And it's something we just recently talked about with Lisa Bain from JVS Human Services about some advice for nailing your job interview, but also talking about the state of the staffing situation across the board in the state of Michigan. Are we seeing that improving? Are there any signs of that being relieved in the future? And regardless of that situation, what are businesses in the state of Michigan doing as of now to attract that talent to come back to the workplace or new talent to come in to the workplace here in Michigan?
We're certainly seeing an improvement, but there's still a long way to go. The talent crisis and shortage is just really an impediment to growth here in Michigan. And for current businesses, just being able to operate at pre-pandemic hours is a struggle. I think if we go to any of our restaurants and bars across the state and a lot of our social outlets, it's really hard to continue to keep those hours of operations for the full day because of the staff shortage. And so they're being creative. They're trying to work cooperatively with each other. You see businesses who share staff for the people who really do want to put in the hours. You're seeing better screening on hiring, I believe, as well. So the people you're hiring are going to be a long-term employee. They're people committed to your organization and to working with each other. But I think going forward, it's going to be a continued evolution. What we're seeing, whether you call it the Great Resignation or just people reevaluating the work-life balance, employers are also having to modify their approach. We have here at the Michigan Chamber, we've gone to the option of working remote, and we're finding ways to still be productive. And in many cases, we've actually increased our efficiency, and you're seeing that in businesses across the state. But we certainly aren't out of the woods by any stretch. And it's going to take the continued entrepreneurial spirit and the flexibility of job providers to really get back to where they were. But I think we'll not only get back to where we were, we're going to be better. And in the future, we're going to be stronger for it. Nobody wished the pandemic upon anyone. But we're learning a lot of good lessons, and I think we're having a good rebalance of a work-life balance and employers and employees working together, not only to keep themselves safe, to keep their customers safe, to make sure their businesses are strong operations.
And it seemed like for a while there was a bit of a clash between employers that were looking to fill these positions and potential employees, either those that had previously been furloughed or had been laid off or had stepped away during the thick of the pandemic and had then said they weren't going to come back for one reason or another. You mentioned many of them: work-life balance, wage issues, demands or requests for better benefits or benefits altogether. And now we're seeing a little bit of a shift where there is that flexibility in those negotiations from the businesses to potential employees and from potential employees to the businesses as well. What advice have you, as your organization, been giving to businesses, or what have members of your Chamber of Commerce found to be the ways that they've had to modify their approach to hiring new staff, to finding that new talent, to adjust to this new paradigm while also modifying their business plan so that they're able to operate as normal and successfully as possible despite these current challenges?
Yeah, I think the best practice, what we've seen, is just better communication in the hiring process, better communication in training and onboarding your staff, better communication in how you evaluate staff. I think the more that employers and employees talk, the better the operations of the organization. And we're seeing that pan out. People are becoming more efficient because they're sharing their best practices, not only with other organizations, but more importantly, internally. I know I've just conducted a staff survey here, and I'm meeting one-on-one with all of our employees just to figure out, okay, what's working, what's not, where can we improve? We have a very strong culture here and a culture of being open and honest. I think the more that employers adopt that, it's going to help them. But the point you referenced earlier that I think is absolutely the most important, it's employers and employees discussing how to do this. The government top-down mandates don't work. It's not a one-size-fits-all, whether we're talking about what to do with masks, what to do with vaccines, or how to run your day-to-day operations. Businesses operate the best when they're collaborative internally, and government, unfortunately, too often gets in the way and puts up a needless hurdle.
And what we're seeing, too, that's really nice, and you mentioned the opportunities for better training, for advancement, for changing directions if people decide that they need a change, or they'd like a change, or they'd like to challenge themselves in a different way within a company, whereas before it was very rigid. If you wanted to make that change, you had to undergo that training on your own time. It could take years. It could take a lot of money to get that retraining. And now we've seen these businesses say, we want to keep you on our staff while we train you to transition somewhere else, and while you help to train somebody to take over your position. And that brings me to some of the great opportunities that are going to be coming into Michigan in the near future. We heard about the $7 billion investment that General Motors is making in the state of Michigan for building electric vehicles and for building batteries for electric vehicles as well. And so there's great opportunity also coming to the state of Michigan. How does that opportunity for changes in the paradigm of different industries, especially critical industries like the automotive industry in the state of Michigan, help to aid that change that you've mentioned in training and in advancement in a company that's been so critical to maintaining your employee base and retaining staff long term?
Yeah, whatever we can get great new expansion here in Michigan, it's a wonderful thing, not only for the businesses that are doing it, but all the ancillary businesses. Yeah. And as you said, in training, technology is just changing our lives so rapidly. And when you can have an employee train another employee, it's just wonderful because they're already cooperative, they're already embrace the culture of the company. But also what you were saying before, just making sure, the right people are in the right seats. You can have a great employee who's fairly competent at their job, but they don't enjoy it. How much better is it to find that place in the organization where they truly love what they're doing and they're actually more productive? And it just helps everybody get along better. And then you have the circular impact back to having the work-life balance. The best thing we can do, I think, as employers is make sure that our employees are not only the best employee, but we set them up to be the best brother, the best husband, the best volunteer baseball coach. If you're happy at your job, you're a better participant in your community. And I truly believe that the more that we can help our employees be great participants in the community, everybody's going to benefit. Because we are all in this together, and we need to just make sure that we're taking the opportunity when you have something like GM, and what a wonderful investment and a great company coming in, but it also gives the state the ability to expand and keep that, not only the manufacturing talent here, but grow the intellectual talent and how much R&D can we bring into an area just to make sure that Michigan is always on the cutting edge. We just have to embrace the change and not be scared of it.
We're joined by Jim Holcomb. He is the president and CEO of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, joining us on the Megacast. And last night, Jim, Governor Gretchen Whitmer made her final State of the State address of her current term in office. What were some of the parts of what she had said last night, or some of the topics she spoke about, such as taxes in particular, additional funding that may be placed for businesses for recovery? What were some of those key parts that she touched on last night that particularly garnered your attention and the Chamber's attention going forward, as Michigan, the state government and local government as well, going to have to be a key part in aiding our businesses recovering from all of the damage and all of the challenges, more so, that they experienced during the pandemic?
I really appreciated the governor's tone last night. I think one of the biggest impediments we have to progress here in Michigan and across the country is just kind of the snarky nature that politics has become. It's about tweets and a press release and not real debate. And the more that Republicans, independents, Democrats, everybody sits down and actually debates and discusses an issue, the better we're going to be. So I appreciated that she was trying to set that tone. I would have liked to have heard more details. Anytime we can focus on job creation and increasing the work-life balance and bringing businesses to Michigan and making Michigan economically competitive, not only but in the state, but in the world, that's a great thing. But we really need to hear the details. And I'm hopeful that she'll reach across the partisan aisle, that she'll work with Speaker Wentworth and Senate Majority Leader Shirkey and really find ways that we can come together as a state. We need to fix our roads. We need to have better infrastructure. We need to make sure that there are training opportunities, that there's affordable housing, and we deal with daycare for working mothers and working parents across the state. We don't have a shortage of issues, but we do have a shortage, I'm afraid, of real debate. And I'm hopeful that we can take her speech last night that had some good themes, but really develop that in the legislative process. And, we're urging her as well as legislative leaders, put down the partisan banter and let's get together in committee rooms and find results and practical solutions to real problems.
And so one of the other forms of good news that's come in recently from the state is their revenue numbers have shown they brought in way greater numbers in revenue in the state of Michigan over the past several years. How can that extra revenue aid in the recovery of Michigan's businesses, and what goals does the Chamber have in working with our leaders in Lansing, both in the legislature and in the governor's office? Should it be Governor Whitmer? Should it be somebody else in the near future after the 2022 elections, to tap into some of that revenue bonus that we've seen over the past few years to aid Michigan businesses in their recovery?
Well, I think what we need to recognize is a lot of the increased revenue is just federal dollars coming down, whether it was from borrowed money or federal taxes, and we need to treat it as such. Our goal is, what we're talking with legislators and the governor's office about, is be aggressive with the budgeting, but be smart with it. Don't create and spend dollars that create long-term debt burdens that are going to impact your budget 3, 4, 5 years down the road when all this money dries up. Let's treat this like one-time money and find those areas. Is it equipment in schools? Is it infrastructure? Is it training opportunities? Is it developing affordable housing? What can we do and almost treat this money as a one-time expenditure so we don't create a long-term burden? I'm worried that we're going to go through and this money is going to seem endless, and it's not. The money dries up, and we have to make sure Michigan is economically positioned and fiscally sound 2, 3, 4 years from now, not just get the gratification of doing some quick spending now. So there's a lot of talk about tax cuts. That's great, and the money should go back to taxpayers. But let's find the most efficient way to do that, and let's not, like I said, create a burden later. It doesn't help you to cut taxes now. In 2, 3, 4 years, you're back at the trough trying to increase taxes. Let's treat taxpayers fairly and give them the money back now without creating a long-term problem.
We're joined by Jim Holcomb, President and CEO of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, on the Megacast. Jim, a few more minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that we haven't discussed that you would like to touch on, or any other information that Michiganders should be paying attention to as it affects our businesses?
Well, I think what Michiganders should be doing is getting more involved. I think, as we talked earlier, the nature of politics right now and the discourse is not great. That's going to change when citizens get involved, when they talk to their local elected representatives, their state senator, their state representative, and share the opinions and ideas of what's important to them as a constituent. We really need the public to bring their ideas forth, because the people we elect are the ones representing us. Michigan has a great opportunity to continue the progress we're making and to have a wonderful future. We just can't waste it on partisan politics. We need to make sure we're making smart decisions, and the budget is the first place to start. And that's the most important job the legislature has right now, is dealing with budget issues in the next couple of months and making sure that we expend this money wisely, because it's a real opportunity we can't let slip through our fingers.
Jim, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, introducing our local area and our community and our viewership to you and your leadership over at the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, and giving us some insight into the future that will be very interesting and critical in the next several months and several years for our business community.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate that you have the show, that you're trying to improve the discourse locally and, in our communities across the state and Southeast Michigan. It's really important, and you're doing a great job making sure these issues come to the forefront. So thanks for what you do.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you did. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is a source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. You can learn more about our show by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com, and clicking on our Megacast link, or typing in civiccentertv.com/Megacast to learn more about everywhere that we broadcast live and live to tape every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon for our live shows. Live to tape at 1 p.m. on Orion Neighborhood Television, and on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where our episodes and each interview from each of our shows is posted usually by mid to late afternoon every day. civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us now is Nada Abbate, the owner of Nada & Company, joining us on the Megacast, Home Decor Restyle Boutique located in Berkley. She is the owner of, and she joins us now on the Megacast. Nada, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So first, tell us about your Home Decor Restyle Boutique located in Berkley, Nada & Company. What services do you provide over there? What products do you provide over there? And what can people expect when they come into your store?
Okay. Yes, I'm located in Berkley. I'm at 3369 Robina Avenue, which is right across the street from the Old Berkley Theater. I'm a home decor shop. I've been in business going on, it'll be my 10-year anniversary this year of having a retail shop. I moved to Berkley almost a year ago. My home decor shop mainly is, I call it Home Decor Restyled. So what I like to do is help people restyle their homes. I sell a product that's an international product called Annie Sloan Chalk Paint. And it was developed in England in 1990, and it came to the States in around 2010, and it became just like the most popular DIY product on the market. And people use it till, they constantly come in and redo their furniture with it. They redo their cabinetry with it. It's like an amazing product. So that's my main seller. And then I do have other home decor items. I have some women's items, some t-shirts, local. I try to keep it local and use local artists and creatives with local products. And then I've got some gift ideas or gift items, but mainly my main thing is the DIY. So that's where we're at.
We're joined by Nada Abbate, owner of Nada Company, located on Robina Avenue in Berkley, just across from the Berkley Theater, joining us on the Megacast. And so you mentioned that you're coming up on your 10-year anniversary. Congratulations on 10 years of your retail shop there in Berkley. But what inspired you 10 years ago, roughly, to open this shop?
Good question. So my background is in architecture and design. And back in 2008, when things kind of went crazy and the economy kind of went downhill, I found myself unemployed with many other designers and people in my industry. So I was actually unemployed for 4 years. And at that time, there were just no jobs. And I looked and looked and looked for, just not in my field, but everywhere. And it was just a really rough time. So, when you sit around and you kind of reassess yourself and you're like, what the heck am I going to do? And I remember back from as far back as I can remember, I would always go into little shops like mine that are so cute. And I'd say, oh, one day I want to do this. One day I want to do this. And it was probably in me all along because I tell people I was a picker before people called each other pickers. And I would collect things off the side of the road. People would give their furniture away and I'd collect it and say, one day I'm going to do something with it. And then that was the one day I woke up and said, one day, this is the day. What am I waiting for? So I ventured out and I said, this is it. And I got this real, I'm a believer, and I said, okay, God, this is the day I'm going to find something. And that, that was it. And I found a shop in the town that I was at before. I found a little shop that was for sale. It was a resale shop. It had tons of inventory in there. And I was already, like I said, I had my own inventory, and I was painting furniture out of my basement and selling it at like little antique booths. And then when this opportunity came along, I thought, this is it. This is my day. I'm doing it. And so I went in, and it happened so fast that I just knew it had to be, because there were no obstacles. There were nothing stopping me. It just, like, everything just kind of transitioned smoothly. And here I am 10 years later. I'm not saying it was easy all along. It's been up and down. Small business is not an easy road, but when you're really passionate about what you do, it just keeps you going. And I'm passionate about what I do, so that's what keeps me going.
We're joined by Nada Abbate, owner of Nada & Company, located in Berkley. That's on Robina Avenue there in Berkley, just across from the Berkley Theater, joining us on the Megacast. And so, of course, your store is all things chalk paint. You explained a little bit earlier about some of the origins of chalk paint and how it kind of dates back to overseas. But why focus on chalk paint so much at your retail store in this location? How did that relationship between you and that particular product in your store develop over time? What got you interested in that?
Well, I'll tell you that when I found that product, it completely changed my life and my business. Like I had mentioned before, I was painting furniture out of my basement, and I was just using like little craft paints and whatever I could find. And I wanted to kind of up my game, as they say. So one day I was online searching, looking for decorative paint for furniture. And all of a sudden, this Annie Sloan kept popping up. Annie Sloan chalk paint, Annie Sloan chalk paint. And I thought, what is this? So I did a little bit of research, and I found out that, like I said, that at that time, that was in 2012. So it had been on the market for a couple of years, but it was just pretty new and just taking off. And then when I contacted, well, first I found, I tried it out, and I absolutely loved it. The beauty of it is, and this is where people, the minute they try it, they love it. The beauty of it is, and the claim to fame for it is that there is no priming or sanding. This material, or paint, I should say, will cover just about any material that you can think of. It will cover wood and metal and plastic and concrete and anything. I mean, you can paint anything with it. Fabrics and diet. So it had so many uses. So when I signed up for it, you had to go through an approval process, because Annie is her name is Annie Sloan, the developer, and she's like a wonderful person, and she's particular as to where her product goes. She had real strict rules. You had to be a storefront, boutique, high, you had to have a nice, surroundings and where her product was displayed. So I went to training. I've met her many times. I've met other people, and it's an international product. So not only did I fall in love with the product because it is so versatile and it's so user-friendly, and everybody, like I said, that tries it loves it, but I met so many people from around the world. I mean, I know people in all countries, and I never met them, but I feel like I know them because we have such a close-knit community. We have our groups, we have conventions that, we can travel to. Well, we used to lately. It hasn't been as easy to travel, obviously. But so not only, did I find a wonderful product, but I found a wonderful community that I belong to, and there's all kinds of help there. So I just learned so much from others that had been doing, this type of decorative faux finish painting, and from Annie herself. And so I just feel like I've grown so much in this industry because of that connection and meeting and finding that product. So like I said, it's definitely changed my business.
We're joined by Nada Abbate, of Nada and Company, joining us on the Megacast. Her store, again, located on Robina Avenue in Berkley, just across from the Berkley Theater, as she joins us on the Megacast. And so, for you as a designer, as an architect, as someone that is helping clients design some of their spaces and has a good eye for aesthetic pieces in the home and in furniture and other decorative arts, what drew you to this chalk paint product, or what continues to draw your eye to products made with chalk paint as opposed to other forms of painting that are often used on furniture or in other decor?
Okay, so there's something that I would have to clear up on this whole product and name. And I try to kind of inform my customers. And chalk paint, well, let's say Annie Sloan chalk paint is a brand name. Chalk paint itself is a brand name. It's not a product name. So this product is called chalk paint, but it's I don't know what it is. I don't know the chemical combinations of it, is what I'm saying. So it's kind of like I use the example of how people say, hey, do you have a Kleenex? Well, it's not you're not asking for you're asking for a tissue, but the name of it's Kleenex. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's where the chalk paint kind of comes in. This formula that she's created, one of her stories is that when she was she's an artist by trade. So her background is in fine arts, and when she became a mom and had young kids at home, she still wanted to continue painting and doing all her artsy things, but there wasn't anything on the market that she was satisfied with to create or to paint like her furniture at home. So she set out and found local chemists and paint chemists, whatever whoever makes paint, and she gave them all the criteria. She wanted it to be easily used, there's no odor to it, very low VOC, and it's a complete water-based paint. So when you start a project, she could start it when the kids went off to school, and by the time they were home, the project's done, because it is so easy to use. And it dries so quickly that you can pretty much, obviously if it's a huge project, like you're doing your whole kitchen, that would take a little longer, but the little pieces. So that was how that criteria started. And that's the beauty of it, because a lot of people I see that with, my customers, they come in, they're so insecure. Oh, I'm so afraid. I don't know what I'm doing. And trust me, this is really user friendly. Just, and I give them a little, tutorial, or I do workshops where they can come in and do, learn a little bit more, just, different techniques rather than just a quick tutorial. And they all come back and say, you're right, it was easy, because it really is. So that part makes me happy, because I like to see people step out of their comfort zone, because we all have that creativity in us. We just have to get a little, sometimes give them a little nudge to say, yes, you can do this, and this product is what you want to do it with, because it is so easy to work with.
Well, Nada, thank you very much for joining us on today's edition of the Megacast, telling us more about your store and some of the specialty product from Annie Sloan chalk paint. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Again, you can find her store, Nada and Company, on Robina Avenue in Berkley, just across from the Berkley Theater. And find this interview on demand on our website later on today, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find all of our interviews from today's edition of the show. I want to thank Nada Abbate for joining us, as well as our other guests, Jim Holcomb, President and CEO of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Sierra DeVoe, the Executive Director of Project Rise, Shane Bronstein, the CEO of JARC, and of course Michael Forsyth, the co-owner of Detroit City Distillery, for being with us on this edition of the Megacast. Again, you can find all those interviews, as well as our full episode from today's show and all of our other shows, and links to each and every one of our partnering stations on civiccentertv.com/megacast, and on our coronavirus page, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. All the information you need on COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division, as we link to their direct COVID-19 web pages, as well as our top stories each and every day making headlines across the state of Michigan. Big thank you to our crew as well, helping us make this show happen every single day. Our technical director, Calvin Brown, with me here in the studio for our 2-hour extravaganza Monday through Friday from 10 to noon. Jared Clark at the offices of My Michigan TV in Troy, our Zoom producer on today's edition of the program, Mr. Larry Nyland, the king of television himself, our producer, getting everybody booked and ready for the show, and Maddie Muschin out at Master Control. On My Michigan TV, Steve Leto Live is coming up next, followed by Larry and Maddie Live. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.